Hi. It's been a hot minute since I uploaded here, but today I am back with a special episode. I interviewed one of my favorite authors of all time. They they agreed to talk to me, and I'm so incredibly honored to give you this interview. I am excited. The guest that we have today is the creator of Thatcher Pearson. Ring a bell? Well, yeah. So I have the creator of the Hellboy series with me. I hope you enjoy this interview. How you been?
I
How's the
am.
weather?
The weather is much better. We had it felt like 3 weeks of just straight rain. And I love the rain. So, I was enjoying the dark, cloudy grayness. What I didn't
Hmm.
love was the excess wind that kept blowing trees down. That was not fun. But
Yeah, I bet.
the rain
That's
itself
good.
was nice. Made for good riding weather. How are you?
I'm good. I've had like a couple of busy days lately, but I'm finally home and I'm just not doing anything right now. So
And not doing
just
anything is
resting.
not doing anything is the best, in my opinion.
Yes. So, all right, I prepared 10 questions for you to get to
Okay.
know you a little bit more. So my first question
Okay.
is, can you share your writing process from the start to finish? Like, do you have any ritual
Oh
at
God.
all?
Um, I mean, I feel like it's kind of it feels different for each book, but I mean similar at the same time. I'm usually write at night. I'm a big night writer. I don't really like working during the day. My brain just feels a little bit more creative at night. It's just
You're
always
just
been
like
that way. I've
me.
always been a night owl. So normally I'll say that I like during the day I get like all of my social media and like my errands outside of the house done, and then I'll come home and I'll sit down and I'll write. But I think like when starting a new book, my process is the same. Like I build a Pinterest board and I'll add to that as I write, but usually I'll build a Pinterest board. I do character interviews where I take like my characters and I interview them and I ask them questions about themselves and then I'll answer those in their perspective to get to know them a little bit better. I'll do my outline. Thank you. I'll do my outline and then that's when I'll start like building my Spotify playlist. And then I kind of just like dive into writing after that. I mean, I don't really know if there's like more process than that. Sometimes it's a little all over the place because I'll be like randomly inspired to write I'll be on chapter 1, but I'll be like, oh my god, I really want to write chapter 17, so I'll go write chapter 17, and then come back to chapter 1. So it's a little like chaotic in that way, and I don't write at the same time every time, but I try to keep some things structured. Usually, whatever breakfast I have when I first start a book is the only breakfast I'll eat until the book is done, but that's just a superstition. So
I see.
less of a ritual, more of a superstition.
Okay, that makes sense. Actually, I think it's a little bit organized. Like you have your process. I feel like that's really cool
Yeah.
because I know some authors like would do
I
their
mean,
Spotify playlist at the end after they're done with the book, like writing the books. But you do your Spotify playlist
oh
at the
no.
beginning. That's cool.
Yeah. I
It
need
sets the
I
vibe.
need music. Music is such a big part of like my writing process that if I do not have the right music playing, I'm not writing. And it's not going to be good. Music is so important to me. So that's why I tell people like when I like release my playlist into the world, like I listened to this exact playlist while I was writing this book. Like everything
I
I've
love it.
listened to is on this playlist. So, yeah, but music is like so important to me. I don't
That
think that
makes
I could
sense.
make it at the
I love like playlists on music because on like books because I discover new artists from it.
Oh my God,
Like
it's my favorite.
it's amazing.
I
Is
feel
that
like that's how a part of why I became like a jukebox when it comes to music. I have so much like useless just music endlessly floating around in my brain. at any given moment.
I love it. I love it. With like the Hollow Boy series playlist, I discovered a lot of like good music. I think what was the song that
Oh my God,
I
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
was it Bad Omens? I can't remember. I started listening to it and now I'm just like obsessed. I think it's Bad Omens.
Noah, Noah Sebastian. Praise Noah Sebastian. I love Bad Omens. I have like, I know that a lot of people think that rock is like my predominant genre, which I mean, I guess
Mhm.
I will say is like prolific throughout my writing, and I definitely do prefer like rock as a genre. But I am like I like all kinds of different music, and I know that lots
Mhm.
of people say that, but I'm serious. Like, if you're ever in the car with me, like 1 second we could be listening to death metal, but then we could be listening to the Moana soundtrack, and after that we might listen to something from a musical. So, like, I have a very like wide taste when
I
it
love
comes to
it.
music, but rock and like indie folk music is really like my home
Hmm.
base. That's what I like to listen to when I'm by myself. So like Bad Omens and Sleep Token are
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
on every playlist I ever make
Yeah.
ever.
I love indie folk too. Like Hosier, Noah Khan kind of
Oh,
music. I love him.
the love of my life. The love of my life. I have a Noah Khan tattoo actually.
You do? Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I have a I have one for I have one for Paul Revere. It says "Live free or die" because in the lyrics of Paul Revere, he says their license plates say "Live free or die." So I got
I
that for
love it.
him because I
I
love
love
that
it.
song.
That's awesome. I need a Noah Khan or a Hosier tattoo.
Thank you, I
So
appreciate
one of these days, I will do it.
it.
That's awesome.
Agree.
You're like,
They're
sure,
superior.
do it. All right. So next question I have,
Listen, I'm
what
all for
genre?
tattoos.
Yes, please. I have so much tattoos that I just randomly get like out of the blue. I'm kind of like slowing down lately, but I might get one just maybe next week
I
or next month.
I have like this is like my This is like my treasure chest arm.
Hmm.
Anytime that I'm in the mood to go get a random tattoo, I'll just toss it on this side. I'll put it on this arm. And then this arm is a little bit more like put together. Like I just finished like all of my fillers and things
Oh
like
my
this for this
God.
arm.
I
So this one
saw
was a little
that.
bit more planned. Thank
I
you.
saw that on your
Yeah,
Instagram.
let me
It's
tell you,
gorgeous.
forewarning, this area of the arm, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, almost took me out. Almost took me out.
I bet
I
it's like
said,
a little bit
somebody call an
sensitive.
ambulance.
Oh no.
A little bit, a lot of it. I was like, somebody get me some oxygen
Oh
immediately.
my
This
God.
hurts.
How long
And
did it
listen, I
take
am
for that one?
not the so the entire session, so we did like this one and then we did multiple pieces. I got 5 tattoos all together and then
Mhm.
filler. So altogether it was like 6 hours.
Oh my
So it
God.
was one of my longer sessions. Yes.
Six
So it was
hours.
a
You're
longer
so
session,
strong.
but that part right there, I am not one of those people who tries to be a hard ass and is like,
Mm,
no, tattoos don't hurt. I barely felt them. No, they fucking hurt, okay?
they
They
do.
hurt. And anybody who tells you differently is a liar.
Yeah,
And I
my
mean,
first.
definitely like on scales, like there are
Hmm.
some. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I was gonna say my first tattoo ever lasted like 4 hours, and I thought I was gonna pass out like the first hour.
Sorry, you keep breaking up a little bit. I just want to like let you know.
Oh,
So like we're like uneven. I just didn't know if like you knew that or not. I just wanted to like
okay.
let you know in before.
Can you hear me now? A little bit better?
Yes, you are good.
Okay. So what I was saying
Yes,
is
much
that
better.
my first tattoo ever was like 4 hours, and like the first hour I thought I was gonna pass out. It hurt like so bad.
Yeah. And I
So
mean, like, once you start getting them, you realize that some spots hurt more than
more than like.
others. So, like, yeah, there are
Mhm.
definitely spots where I'm like, oh, that doesn't hurt. It hurts, but in comparison to places that are like really tender, it's like
Mhm.
nothing. But anybody who says tattoos don't hurt, I don't trust you.
Nope.
I do not
They're
trust
like
you.
a bitch.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I was surprised my elbow wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was
Oh,
going to be.
really?
The ditch was way worse. Yeah, the ditch
Oh
was
my.
the worst. I was like, oh, call the police,
Like,
please.
I'm done. They look really good
Come,
though.
please. Thank you. I appreciate it. My artist appreciates it.
They're amazing. I saw the pictures when you posted it and I was like, wow, they look good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Second question, what genre do you love to read but don't feel inclined to write?
Um, I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm not the type of person to like never say never. Like, like I could
Mm-hmm.
probably say something, and then like 5 years down the road, I'm like writing in that genre. I really
Yeah.
just appreciate all genres of reading. I don't think there's any that I read that I wouldn't venture into. Like my big categories are like horror, and I would love to venture into horror. I also read a lot of
You would
fantasy. Would love to
you would
venture into
do great
fantasy.
with honor, with horror. You would eat it
Thank you.
up.
I thank you. I appreciate that. So I mean, like all of the genres that I read, I think I would write. So I don't think. I think my answer is I don't think I have one.
How about a trope?
I think I would just vibe with whatever. Trope. Oh gosh, help me, Lord. Uh,
Like a
what's a
trope
trope
that
that I
you
read
would
that I wouldn't
never
write?
like write.
Oh God, this is hard.
Sorry.
I would say
Just
like
kind of put you in the spot
probably,
there.
and this is just yeah, I know. This is just me. I'm not yucking anybody's yum, okay? Let me preface by saying I'm not yucking anybody's yum. Pop off, read
Okay.
whatever we want. I don't care. I probably would never write something that was like too taboo. Like blood
Mm.
relation would probably be like my like line in the sand that needed to be drawn.
Okay.
So probably something that was like way too taboo. Like I love reading books that like toe the line of forbidden. Like I love a stepbrother, I love a step
Mm-hmm.
sibling, love like, the like taboo, like the towing of the line. But I think like like too taboo. I don't think that I am the person to write those. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
pop off, read what you want. I'm not
Yes.
judging.
Put your boundaries. We love it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. So question number 3, have any of your characters has been inspired by your personality? Or is there a moment in your personal life that inspires a character or a scene in your books?
So yeah, I mean a lot. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I say this like on interviews often, but obviously, like not everybody listens to every single one that I release. So Rook Van Doren and I have the same personality, minus the pyromaniac tendencies. We are the same mentally. We both use our humor to cope with our trauma. So we have like very similar senses of humor, very like sense like sense of style. Like me and Rook are like this. We're like homies for life.
He-
But
An
like all
icon.
of my characters,
Rook is
all of my
iconic.
characters have. Yes, he is an icon. I love him. He eats. All of my characters have some like little bit of me in them, even if it's unintentionally. But all of my stories have some form of like me in them. Writing is very cathartic for me. I use it to kind of like release my own trauma and release like my own pain that I've been through personally. So every single book, especially in the Hollow Boy series, has some form of like something I experienced or some type of past trauma that I've, like worked through in therapy. So like writing these characters are very cathartic for me as a way to like put it on page to like view it from a different scale instead of it just inside of me. So I would say all of them. Every book I've ever wrote has something of me in there. But I would say personality wise, Rook and I are the most similar. And then also me and Coraline are also very similar too. She's the girl character that is the most like me.
I
That's
see.
my
I see.
girl.
I
So
love Coraline. She's like one of my favorites. She deserves the world.
I love her.
Oh,
I love her.
man, the way I
I,
sobbed so
I
much in that book. Ugh, I was screaming, crying,
that
throwing
book
up.
was that that's my favorite thing ever. I love it when people tell me that. They're like, I'm screaming, crying, throwing up right now. And I'm like, dude, I'm right there with you. I was also screaming, crying, throwing up. Coraline is like, I don't even know how to explain it. She's like my soul connection in like
Mm,
a character. The way that she feels about things and the way that she views the world is very similar to me. And also, I really just like wanted to write her as a character that wasn't exactly, I think all of my female characters are kind of like this because I think
mm,
I'm a little bit like this. So I'm trying to get better to maybe write something that's not like me. Um, but a lot of my female characters aren't very, I'm trying to find the word for it. They aren't
mm,
very like, I don't like using the word soft. Soft is a really
mm.
bad word. I don't like using that word.
Yeah.
I would say because like Lyra is very soft. However, I think that each of the female characters in the Hollow Boy series do a very good job of like showing different ways in which people cope with trauma. Like Lyra loves
Absolutely.
with like an abundance. Lyra, I would say, is like a very soft character, but also is like a I'll stab you in the eyeball if you talk bad about somebody that I love, right?
Yes.
And then so like she's very like forgiving and very like loving and just overwhelming with like love, and Sage and Coraline are very different from that.
Hmm.
Their love is more guarded. They're both a little bit like meaner when it comes to when they're presented with their trauma, and I thought that it was really important for me to like showcase the different ways in which people move through trauma and the way that trauma affects different people in different ways. Some people become a little bit like Lyra in the way of that they become um they become more loving, they become more giving, they become like these versions of themselves that they didn't have when they were younger, and other people don't become that version. So it was like
Hmm.
really important to me as somebody who, well, I guess was like bitter at the world when I was younger for like everything that I had went through. It was really important to me to showcase that on page also because I think it's really important to validate those experiences as well, like people who experience massive trauma and aren't exactly the sweetest person afterwards, and that's okay. Like working
Yes.
through those issues and getting and healing, it's okay if you're not perfect at it.
I
And
love
that
that.
was what was really important to me. I just
Yeah,
went
I
off
love
on a
that.
tangent. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, you're good. I just wanna like add every person like cope differently, like especially with like their trauma and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Next
Thank
question.
you.
Um, what is your favorite book that you have ever written? Like what's your favorite? I know it's probably not a good thing to ask an author what their favorite book that they've ever written is, but I'm kind of curious because some authors
I
have
mean,
one and some
I mean, I
doesn't.
would say I would say the answer is like yes and no. I do have one, but I also don't have one. I love all
Mm,
of my books for a different reason. They're my favorites for different reasons. But I would say like my favorite book that I've ever written is probably like The Blood We Crave Part 2. I really had a fun time writing like that gothic, that very like ghostly kind of love between Lyra and Thatcher. It made me feel like reminiscent of like when I read like gothic fiction growing
mm,
up. So like I had a really, really fun time writing their book, but like I also really loved writing Alistair and Briar in The
mm.
Lies We Steal because of the imagery and their relationship. I loved writing them. So like I have different reasons for why each book is my favorite, but I would say like overall, The Blood We Crave Part 2 is probably like my favorite book that I've written.
Okay. I love that book. That's my favorite book in like the series. Like when I read
I
that
will
book,
say
yes.
I will say though, Wrath of an Exile, as I'm like nearing those final stages, is very, very, very close to topping Lyra and Thatcher.
Oh my
I
god.
have
I'm
loved
excited.
I have loved Wrath of an Exile's journey, and these characters, their story is probably my favorite. I love them with my whole chest. My whole chest. I love them.
Oh my
So I
god.
would say that
Alright.
might choose.
I'm just sure you're gonna deliver. I'm sure it's gonna be so chaotic, especially with Rook in there. Ma'am.
Oh, oh God. I know. It's gonna be fun though. I'm
I'm
hoping everybody
so
likes it. I love it. So
anything you write, I will eat it up. It's gonna be so great.
oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Um, so how do you feel about the craze around the Hollow Boy series? It's gotten really, really popular lately, and I love seeing videos of like some of my mutuals, some other people discovering it. It just makes my heart so happy because it's so good. Like it's so underrated, and I'm
Thank you.
so glad and happy that it's getting the recognition that it deserves. How do you feel about all
Thank
those?
you. Um, whatever you feel, multiply it by like a million for me. I would say I feel a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I think I just feel like overwhelmingly grateful that
Mm-hmm.
like people have picked up the book and have enjoyed it. That's like my biggest thing is I'm just very glad and very grateful that there are so many people out there who have read these books and loved them and connected to them in the way that I connected to them. That means like more than I'll ever be able to explain to people as somebody who is a reader and connected to stories as a kid. The fact that I'm able to do that with other people is I'll get emotional if I talk too much about it, but it genuinely like brings me so much joy. It is the most fulfilling thing that I have ever been able to. I'm not gonna try not to cry right now, but it's the most fulfilling thing that I have ever done in my life and will do in my life. So I am just overwhelmingly grateful. And if I could say one thing to every reader, it would just be thank you for like going on this journey with me. It means the world. And yeah, so no matter like how many or how little, everything every reader is important and every reader like means the world to me. So like thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm just very grateful.
You
Woo!
deserve
I got out of
it.
that without shedding a tear. Woo!
Let's start crying.
My eyes were like burning. It was like when I'm cutting onions, I was like, do not cry on this interview right now.
I love that. I love you so much. You are amazing.
Oh, thank you. I love you too. Thank you.
No. Okay. So, with that being said, what inspired you to write the Hollow Boy series? Like, did you know how it will end when you first started writing it?
Yes. So originally I was like, I kind of just want to write like a thriller without romance. Like I kind of just wanted
Mhm.
to, because I had this idea of like the halo and this like very corrupt town and like all of the underlying plot too that I had involved. That was the first thing that came to my brain was I really wanted to write like a bit of like a murder mystery kind of feel, a little bit of a thriller. And then the Hollow Boys came to me, like Alistair, Thatcher, Rook, and Silas all came to me afterwards, and I was like, what if you had girlfriends? Huh,
Yes.
that would be so fun. It kind of like happened organically after that. The boys came to me, and then the girls followed suit. But I knew from like the Lies We Steal how the underlying plot would go. I didn't know how those couples would fall along that. Like I always knew the way the oath we give would end. I always knew that the people that were involved were going to be involved from the beginning of writing the Lies We Steal. So it was like a journey of like figuring out where like Rook and Sage's relationship fell into that and where Thatcher and Lyra's relationship fell into that and Silas and Coraline. I knew that Coraline was always going to be tethered to Stefan in some way somehow. Like
Mhm.
she was very like tethered to him. I always knew that that was going to be Silas's book with her. And then, like, I knew that Briar was going to be a new girl coming into town. But, like, Rook and Sage, I want to say I was like plotting The Lies We Steal, and like halfway through, I was like, ooh, I really like the idea of like them previously meeting in high school and then being like a bit of a secret. And then I always knew that Lyra had a thing for Thatch, and that Lyra's mother was unalived by Thatcher's dad. That was like their connecting thing. So I mean, I
Mhm.
discovered a lot of things along the way, but from the beginning, I knew the way that I wanted it to start and the way I wanted it to end. So yeah, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, that makes sense because when I finished the series, I went back to The Lives We Steal and read like the back of the book, and I was like, "Huh, this sounds familiar." But it was like at the end of
Yeah.
like the last book, and I was like, "Oh my God." I was so blown away. I texted my friend. I was like, "Bro, what the fuck? This is amazing." Like,
So
yeah.
this is the thing. This is the thing, right? So I feel like readers have been I don't know if readers have been hurt by authors and the trust that they have for us is little. So like actually when I first released The Lies We Steal, I actually got a lot of people who were upset about the beginning of the blurb of The Lies We
Mm,
Steal, and I was like, patience, if we could patience.
trust
We're
the
just gonna have to
process.
remain patient and you guys are just gonna have to trust the process here. I promise I'm cooking with something. Just let me cook here. Just trust me. It'll all work out in the end. Because that was
Hmm.
originally what I wanted to do. I wanted the beginning of the blurb to tie into the last part of the book, the last
Iconic.
part of the oath we give. So that was always the plan.
That was amazing. Because I usually don't read like blurbs in books. When I pick up a book, I usually like go through TikTok and like, search a title and see if
Yeah.
like, those random quotes. And I was like, I like that. So I'm gonna start it. And then like after I finish a book, I would just go back and see, oh, so that's how it was supposed to be, I guess. But no.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
You just do
I know.
it
I'm kind of
backwards.
crazy. Yeah, that's how I pick up my
No.
book.
No, it's fine. You just have a process.
Yeah. But
Everybody
no.
has a process. You're fine.
No, no, that was amazing. I thought that was such a genius move. You're a mastermind
Thank you.
for
I appreciate
sure.
that. Oh, I'll blush. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So next question. If you could, which one of your MCs would you bring to life and why? Like in the real world, which one would you
Oh my
bring?
god.
Me
I can
personally,
only
Thatcher
pick one.
Pearson.
I mean, yeah, understandable. I can only pick one.
Yes.
Oh god. I mean, for selfish reasons, because I want to date him, I would say Silas. I I've said this like several times. Silas is my favorite Hollow Boy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he is.
He's
I
so
think
hot.
because Coraline is the most like Coraline is
Mm.
the most like me, and that I wanted her to end up with somebody that I would end up with, and that would be Silas.
Silas.
Silas is my dream man. In every single inch of the page, that is my dream man. Okay? I
Oh
love
my
him. Would lay my
God.
life down for Silas. So if I could, I guess, like bring any of them to life, it would be Silas for selfish reasons that I would marry him immediately.
Honestly, Slay. I would do the same. No, that man surprised me so much. He was so quiet, and then in his book, I was just gagged. Like, this man has a
This is
dirty mouth, and he does everything for the
it is the
Coraline, and my heart just like, what a man.
it's the quiet ones that you always have to watch out for. The quiet ones. They are always the ones you gotta look out for.
No, for
I
sure.
loved him. I love him. I love him. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters of all time that I've ever written. I love him so much. He was actually like inspired by. So I have bipolar disorder, and I was
Mhm.
diagnosed when I was relatively young. And when I was in therapy, I was required to do group therapy. So bipolar disorder is an SMI, which is a severe mental illness, and when you are in group therapy or with other people who have SMIs, and there was a guy there that I became friends with who had schizophrenia. And Silas's character was actually inspired by him and his journey through like misdiagnosis and like all of these things that he had went through. So and there's like a little part of my dedication where I like thank him for it. But yeah, so Silas is like a character that I hold so very close to me in my chest.
Yeah, that book, when I first like started reading the beginning of the the beginning chapters where you explained how the misdiagnoses were and stuff, it just like me as a healthcare worker, like it
Yeah,
hurts my heart so much because we see patients a lot who are misdiagnosed, and it's
yeah.
just hurts. And I love that you
I was
bring out the awareness in your books. So I truly appreciate that.
Oh my God, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was originally misdiagnosed with ADHD before I was
Mm.
given my final diagnosis with bipolar disorder. So I'm aware of like the trauma that comes through like misdiagnosis and things of that nature. And like I said, like he was inspired by somebody who I care very deeply about and who was there in a piece of my life where I felt very like tumultuous when I
Mm.
had been first diagnosed. So like I just wanted to be able to do him justice and bring awareness to a mental disorder that I feel like is very heavily misrepresented occasionally. Um and show like the reason that Silas acts the way he does isn't because he has schizophrenia. It's because of the fact that this is just the things that have happened to him and this is who he is as a person. Um and like kind of try and bring awareness to that. It was like really important to me because of like who he represented for me.
Yeah. I love mental health rep in books because like these days we see people like talk more and more about mental health, because in the past it's
Yeah,
more of like a taboo subject to like talk about, but now I love that everyone is a little bit more open into talking about all these things. So continue what you do. We
yeah,
truly
and you
appreciate
and we
it.
should be.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We should be. Everybody should be more open about their mental health. Like, I mean, I don't say everybody because I understand
Mhm.
that it comes with a lot of shame and it comes with a lot of like pain to talk about that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I say like when people are ready to speak about their mental illnesses, like I feel like more importantly than people with mental illnesses talking about mental illnesses, I feel like we need to be educated on mental illnesses
Mhm.
way more so that like harmful stereotypes aren't so like believed or placed on people with mental illness. Like bipolar disorder is a mental illness that has so many very very harmful
Mhm.
stereotypes, and half of them, I would say the majority of them, are not even close to true. So yeah, I think that education goes a long way when it comes to mental illness. But thank you, I'm really glad that you liked it. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I I love your books. I love mental health reps in books. It just makes my heart happy. So,
Thank you.
okay. Next question. You recently did your first signing in Tennessee last month, and how was that experience?
I was an emotional fucking disaster. That's how it was.
I'm
Um,
so jealous.
I
Like I
was
saw all the pictures and I was like, I wish I can meet them in person.
Listen, you'll just have to come to a signing. You'll have to come to a signing. Like, hopefully, like it links up that I'm like somewhere close
Hmm.
by for like another signing, and we'll just have to meet each other. I was like, I think in the moment I was in like work mode, so I was like, I like connecting with people in real life about like my books was such an overwhelming emotional experience for me that I was like I felt like kind of numb, and I was so nervous, and so like I had so much anxiety, but everybody was so sweet and so kind and the event was so great, and I was just so thankful that everybody was so like gracious and so nice, and then that was really really nice for me. But like on the ride home back
Mm.
to like where I live in North Carolina, I cried the whole 6 hour drive back
Oh,
home because I was just like so I was just so I'm an emotional creature, okay? I'm an emotional creature. I was just so overwhelmed with like gratitude and just love and appreciation and just like the idea that this is my job and this is my life and that's something that meant so much to me as a kid now means something to other people was just like I will never be able to explain it in words. I was just very like overwhelmed and like super grateful to have been a part of that experience. And I love meeting readers. I love meeting you guys. Being able to like see you face to face and like hug you and like know that we have connected is
Yes.
like is amazing. It's a feeling I can't even describe.
I would probably cry if I see you
So
in
yeah,
person.
okay, I'll cry with you. It's fine. I'm a sympathy crier, so if you cry, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations on doing your first signing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank you.
doing
I
any more
appreciate it.
signing in the future?
Yeah, so I have Rare Edinburgh in September in
Mm.
next month. I'm so nervous about, but I'm excited. I've never been out of the country. I
Oh my
just got my
God.
passport. I'm so nervous.
I love it.
So, I have Rare Edinburgh in September, and then I have Authors in the Bluegrass in October of this year, and then next year I have Rare London, and then I have Love in Seattle thus far.
Mm.
I haven't announced any other ones besides Love in Seattle and Rare London. I only do about I this is my first year of signings and I've already like determined the boundary for myself for those is that I'm doing 3 signings a year. Two will be stateside and one will be international. Because that just feels like a doable amount for me. So I don't get like because I do have to also write books in between that as
Yes.
well.
Oh my God, you are booked and busy. That is so exciting.
Stressed and grateful.
Oh my God,
Thank you.
that's amazing. Okay, next question.
Thank
Will
you.
any of your Hollow Boys next gen gonna be MM or FF?
I get this question so much. The readers love asking me this question.
Yes.
So and I love that they ask it. I love it. So yes, one of the River Styx Heathens will be an MM, but I'm not doing FF in this series
Mhm.
singularly because I already have a female standalone drafted that I've been working on the side. I wanted it to be a standalone because I just need to give myself time to write female. I had like a lot of trauma when it came to like my queer journey and like coming out and things of that nature and being in like female relationships myself. So I need to like writing is very cathartic for me. I put a lot of myself and my own emotion into it and I know that when I dive fully into that book it is going to bring up a lot of emotions and a lot of pain for me. And I just want to be like mentally in a space where I can handle that. I'm trying to be responsible with my own mental health,
Mhm.
where I can kind of be okay to write it. And I didn't want to put it in a series because then there felt like another added pressure to it. And
Yeah.
this to me I wanted this book to me to not be that. I want this book to be a piece of art that I love and something that I put like my whole heart into. So I wanted it to kind of like stand on its own. So yes, I do have a female standalone that I am writing that I'm working on, but there is a book in the next generation that is M.
Amen.
So
Okay. Oh my God, I'm
yeah.
excited. I personally have not read any FF book yet. I'm trying to find one, but MM books,
Oh my
I
gosh.
love
I
them.
got you. I have recommendations.
Oh my
I have
God.
recommendations. My
Send me the
favorite
list,
sapphic
please.
my favorite sapphic author is Liza James. If
Okay.
you like dark romance, she writes dark romance sapphic. She is, if you like my writing style, you
Mm-hmm.
will love Liza's writing style. She is so poetic and beautiful with the way that she writes and her prose and the relationships between Her characters is just agonizingly, painfully beautiful, and I
Oh my
love her
god.
books. I would recommend starting with Vibe and then
Mhm.
Hush, and then she has one called Madhouse. So I have them on my shelf somewhere up here. But yes, 10 out of 10 recommend. Liza James, if you're looking for dark sapphic romance, is one of my favorite sapphic romance authors.
Definitely adding that to my list. If you suggest it, I will read it. I love your writing, so like that's just something in my alley. I love dark romance in general, so thank you.
I think you're really, really gonna like it. I think you're welcome.
All right. Okay, this is the last question. Which book in the River Styx,
Okay.
oh my, I cannot pronounce this. River Styx Heathens are you most excited for us to read?
Uh,
Uh,
mm, this is such a difficult question. I mean,
what?
I'm really excited for you guys to read Wrath of Exile. I'm really excited for you guys to read Wrath of Exile
Mm-hmm.
because it's the first one. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I think for I'm excited for you guys to read them all for different reasons, but I would say
Mm-hmm.
like for me personally, the book I'm most excited to like release into the world is a tie between Wrath of an Exile and Whisper of a Shadow, which is book 2 in the River Styx Heathens. Whisper of a Shadow is actually the characters of Whisper of a Shadow, which I've already announced, is Ezra Caldwell and Andromeda Van Doren. They are
Oh.
the their story is the reason why I decided to write a next gen. Their story came to me like hit me in the fucking head and wouldn't leave. So, they're actually the reason that the entire series got a next gen. Because I was like, I can't
Oh.
just write fucking one. I can't just write
You
one of
have to
them.
write the rest.
I have to write the rest
Yeah.
I have to do this. So, yes, I would say that I would most excited for Wrath of an Exile because it's like enemies to lovers with like a
Mm-hmm.
whole bottle of angst and just like hatred and pain and love, and it's beautiful and poetic, and I love it. But Whisper of a Shadow is that kind of like first love heartbreak that you
Oh
can
my
feel in your gut.
God.
It's
I love those kind of
so
books.
yes. So I'm excited about Whisper of a Shadow. But then I'm excited about Fall of the King, and I'm excited for Lies of a Saint and for Song of a Crow. Like I'm excited for all of them. But
How many
yeah,
books
Whisper of a
do
Shadow
you
is like
have
my
in
little baby.
mind yet? I can't remember if
So
you
it's gonna be
announced it.
5.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 5. So it's Wrath of an Exile, Whisper of a Shadow, Fall of the King, Lies of a Saint, and then Song of a Crow. And then that'll be the 5 for the River Styx Heathen series. And
Mm-hmm.
like they're already, because I've got you guys are like FBI agent detect level detectives out here, and it
Everyone knows.
never ceases to blow my fucking mind. But everybody's already clocked the fact that so Nora Hawthorne, who is Silas and
Mm-hmm.
Coraline's oldest daughter, is the only child from their family that'll be getting a book in this series.
Mm-hmm.
However, Silas and Coraline also have 3 children, also Racer, Stella, and Scout. And
Mm-hmm.
I purposely did not give them books in this series specifically because I would really enjoy doing like a spin-off away from Ponderosa Springs with possibly them involved. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of leeway to possibly do that. So there may be 3 more books in the River Styx Heathen series. There may be an entire trilogy spinoff. Who knows? Who
Oh my
knows?
God. Oh my
I
God.
will commit to nothing.
You're gonna have a whole universe and we're gonna eat it up.
Oh my god, the universe scares me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Thinking about a universe stresses
Why?
me out. Like I know it's gonna happen, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
It's gonna be so great. Oh my goodness. The girlies are gonna eat it
Thank you.
up. Every time you
I
release
know
a
I
book,
can't wait.
they're
I'm so
just gonna
excited.
keep asking, like, when's the next one?
I know there's gonna be another. When's the
That's
next
how
one?
universes work.
I think that's always. I always think that's the funniest part is like I work on a book for like 7, 8 months or whatever. I put my blood,
Mm.
sweat, heart, and tears into it. I release it into the world. Somebody never fails to message me an hour and a half later. Oh my god, when's the next one? Because they've already finished what I wrote. And like I'm like, oh my god, I love this energy. I love it. I'm also like, oh my god. I feel like I just got out of an 8 month. I just feel like I got out of an 8 month long relationship, and everybody is already wanting me to move on to a new relationship.
Next one. That's me.
Which I
Really.
appreciate. It's funny.
Like I read the Halloween series in like a week, less than a week, I think, and I was just like, "What's next? Like I need the
What must
next.
I? What
What do I do with my
I
life
know.
now?"
I'm trying. I wish I wrote faster, but these fingers are like slow. They're like snails. I'm
Now take
trying.
your time.
Trying to write faster, I swear, I promise. I'm working hard.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and this is such an honor. It's a huge privilege for me. You're one of my favorites. I cannot wait for Wrath of an Exile to come out. Um, yeah. Do you have any
Honestly,
questions
thank
or
you.
anything?
Who are you most excited to read about in the next gen series?
Honestly, Wrath Exile.
Yeah, I mean, it's messy. It's
With
messy.
Van
Also,
Doren's like kids. And like
oh yeah,
Sinclair is just messy in general. I love messy books.
it's messy. And I know that people, listen, the amount of people who are like, I'm trying to, why did Rook let him move in? How did this happen? Why is this happening?
I have
I'm
so many
like, if we could
questions.
just want, if I assure you, your questions will be answered in due time. If you could give me till September 24th to release this book, I promise your questions will be answered. So I mean, it's messy. I know, right? I originally so Andy and Ezra's story. It was actually like a scene from Ezra's POV that I
Mm,
wrote. It was like 5,000 words, and I was actually in the middle of writing The Blood We Crave Part Two when
mm.
it happened. I was like, oh no. Oh no,
No.
I fear I might have to write an next gen now.
Oh,
But when I was writing the book too, and I thought about writing an next gen, I was like, do you know what would be fun and what would be very messy? Is if I put a Van Doren and a Sinclair in a
oh my.
relationship. It felt like the perfect opportunity for me to write my Romeo and Juliet retelling. It was beautiful and I couldn't say no. So that's why I did it. Because I'm sadistic and I wanted to do it. So,
I am excited. When I first saw you announce it, my jaw was on the ground because I was like, "You're telling me a Van Doren and a Sinclair? Oh my God, what about Rook?" The first thing that
listen,
came to my mind, I was like, "Oh no, Rook is
yeah,
gonna
he's
lose his
sweating.
mind."
He's just constantly in like a state of cardiac arrest at any given time with these children. And honestly, I just think it's his karma because he's a shithead and he was a shithead in the series.
He was a
It's karma
menace.
for all of the things. He was a menace. So this is his payback for being a menace.
I'm excited. I
But
can't wait.
thank you so much for having me on here. It's such an honor for you to ask me, and I really, really appreciate it. And I adore you. I love your
Oh.
content, and I really appreciate you letting me come on and chat with you.
No, thank you so much. Like, thanks for letting me shoot my shot.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. Anytime. The DMs are open for shots to be shoot. For the
There you go.
shots
For
to be
everyone
shoot.
listening, the DMs are open.
Yeah,
All right.
DMs
Thank
are
you so
open.
much.
Anytime anybody wants to shoot their.
So that just happened. Um, my heart is like beating so fast right now. I was so nervous. I think I yapped. I yapped too much. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But yeah, that's the interview. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any authors that you want me to interview next, just comment below. So, yeah, thank you.